how much does it matter what Americans think?
Well, it matters every bit what Americans think. That's why Americans vote. It's why Americans have the opportunity to have free speech. We want them to have that.
Okay, so what percentage of Americans support a war with Iran?
We don't live in a world where you have
I thought you just said that
that's direct democracy. No, we care deeply about it. But on the other hand,
Tucker Carlson met with Trump to try and convince him not to drag the U.S. into a war with Iran because of Israel. And Laura Loomer had the meltdown of all meltdowns. I think she tweeted about Tucker Carlson like 20 times yesterday. A few days ago, Tucker Carlson dropped his interview, if you can call it that. It was more of like a history lesson and a lecturing of Mike Huckabee, the U.S. ambassador to Israel. In fact, the statements that Mike Huckabee made in his interview were condemned by like all the GCC countries, like the entire Arab world condemned his statements. I don't think I've ever seen an interview be condemned by like all of the countries in a given region of the world, let alone, of course, the interview with the U.S. ambassador to Israel, right? But that's what we saw take place. Take a listen to this. These are some of the comments that Mike Huckabee had to say about war with Iran and why he doesn't care that 80% of Americans oppose war on Iran.
Ask you a question, like, how much does it matter what Americans think?
Well, it matters every bit what Americans think. That's why Americans vote. It's why Americans have the opportunity to have free speech. We want them to have that.
Okay, so what percentage of Americans support a war with Iran?
I don't know. Do you know?
I do. I think it's around, I saw the numbers yesterday. I think it was like 21%.
Okay.
Is that enough to have a war with Iran?
We don't live in a world where you have a poll taken to find out whether our policy should be a particular direction. Because
I thought you just said that
that's direct democracy. No, we care deeply about it. But on the other hand, do we make the decisions of foreign policy and even domestic policy based on
we
what
care
the
deeply
latest
about
poll
it in
number
what
is?
sense? If we're ignoring it, then in what sense do we, quote, care deeply about it?
Well, I think we care deeply when we see there's a threat.
No, but about Americans' opinions. So you've got 350 million Americans. Yeah. They voted in this last election on the basis, in part, of the promise no more wars. Okay, so now we're about to have a war, looks like. 80% of people are against it. In that range, let's say 70%, but nowhere near majority support for this war. And it's not direct democracy, but it is a form of democracy. It's representative democracy.
The ultimate form of democracy in our system, in a republic, because we're not a true democracy, we're a republic.
Exactly, right? It's a mediated democracy.
It'll be an opportunity for Americans to vote if they think that we've made the wrong policy decisions. I personally think the president is making the right policy decisions.
But I guess, but you just said it matters deeply what Americans think, and if the overwhelming majority are against it, in what sense does it matter? Because what I hear is it matters what they think, but it really doesn't matter what they think because...
No, you take it in, you certainly ingest that.
And then what do you do with it once you ingest it?
Then you make sure that you have... No,
you just gotta...
We'll be right back with our video, but first, a quick word from our sponsor, Atomic Minerals. On January 5th, 2026, the U.S. Department of Energy announced $2.7 billion in contracts to restore domestic uranium enrichment capabilities. This isn't just spending, it's a declaration of intent. America needs uranium, domestic uranium, and it needs it now. Here's the reality. The U.S. consumes over 50 million pounds of uranium annually, but produces less than 1 million pounds domestically. That means we're dependent on foreign suppliers for roughly 98% of our uranium, a major vulnerability for national security, power generation, and advanced defense systems. The White House has made it clear America must rebuild its own nuclear fuel supply chain, a vision that makes a whole lot more sense than fighting endless wars for energy assets overseas that never materialize for the American consumer. That's where Atomic Minerals comes in, trading under ATOM on the TSX Venture and ATMMF on the OTC. This isn't a new team. Leadership includes members who were part of the discovery and subsequent $654 million sale of the Rough Rider uranium deposit to Rio Tinto, an exit roughly 59 times larger than Atomic's current valuation. Atomic controls 4 100% owned uranium projects in the historic Colorado Plateau, a region that has produced over 597 million pounds of uranium. Their flagship project, South Lisbon Valley East in Utah, sits inside a district that alone has produced 80 million pounds. The geology works, the history proves it. Meanwhile, uranium prices have surged from $28 per pound in 2017 to around $95 per pound in 2026, and some analysts project prices could exceed $100 as supply tightens. You've got a government mandate backed by $2.7 billion right now. You've got a proven team with $654 million in track record, and you've got strategic uranium assets in America's historic uranium province. You want to learn more about this critical mineral story and the team that has already delivered big results? Check out the link in the description below, and a special thanks to Atomic Minerals for making today's video possible.
It goes out the other end, obviously.
No, it's not just that it goes out the other end. It's that hopefully, I guess, from their point of view, they can use the public opposition to the war in Iran to then craft a new psyop to then convince the American public that they should support it. Okay, it's good that they have the numbers. It's good that we know this. It's good that 80% of the people know it, because we need to now concoct a new idea, a new threat, a new psyop, a new false flag, so that they have no other choice but to support war on Iran, right? That's the whole idea here. Now, Tucker is 100% correct. The overwhelming majority of Americans oppose war on Iran, and he was actually spotted at the White House again. Either this morning was this, yesterday morning he was at the White House. And Laura Loomer had the meltdown of all meltdowns. I think she tweeted about Tucker Carlson like 20 times yesterday. I think if she was allowed to call for like assassinations on X, she probably would have called for his assassination. But effectively, of course, that's, what she's doing, right? Just, you got to read between the lines. Tucker Carlson met with Trump to try and convince him not to drag the U.S. into a war with Iran because of Israel. This is according to Judge Andrew Napolitano, a friend of Tucker Carlson. According to an interview with Andrew Napolitano for TASS, Tucker Carlson met with Trump on February 23rd in an attempt to dissuade him from striking Iran. Napolitano describes it as a last-ditch effort on Carlson's part to prevent the U.S. from being pulled into another senseless war for Israel. But Carlson failed, and it's almost certain Trump will go forward with the strikes. The only question is how large-scale the military campaign will be. Yeah, that's basically where I've been telling you guys that this is exactly where it's going to go. Some people are saying, no, it's all gumbo diplomacy. It's not real. No, I think he actually is going to do this. Whether it's happening under duress, whether he actually supports this, I do believe it's going to happen. And Tucker Carlson clearly believes it's going to happen, because why would he go to the White House several times to try and dissuade Trump from bombing Iran when he knows that the last guy that got into a heated argument with Trump over, not supporting war in Iran ended up dead a few weeks later? Charlie Kirk. As we all know, he went to the White House, he went to Trump, and he had a very, very heated duel with Trump, who he admired and respected greatly. He loved Trump. And he risked everything, his career, his relationship with Trump, I guess what people thought of him. And that's very important in these like very powerful political positions, right? To go tell Trump to say, no, we cannot go to war in Iran. And he did that in front of Netanyahu's puppets in the Oval Office. And he ended up dead. So I say, whether Tucker is getting the correct information or not regarding whether, the likelihood of this is, that real 99% that they're going to do this, he is extremely brave to be going to the White House and doing this at this point in time after the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Laura Loomer said, I know for a fact Tucker Carlson leaked this information that he met with the president to Jake Sherman. Tucker was told by the White House to not tell anyone he was coming to the White House today, where he has also been told no pictures. We will see if he disrespects them again by forcibly taking a photo. Just total disrespect to President Trump. The White House needs to stop allowing this vile Jew hater to step foot in the president's home. Tucker leaked this meeting. He called Trump yesterday and begged him for a meeting to explain himself. So let me get this straight. The last time, which was a few weeks ago, that Tucker Carlson had a meeting with Trump, Tucker didn't take photos. The photos were taken by like someone in the back left-hand corner of the Oval Office. And like Trump was looking up at the person taking the photo. So they knew it was happening, right? Trump knew it was happening. Okay. And Marco Rubio was also in the room and saw it. So that's just a lie that, oh, you can't take a photo. That's ridiculous. Trump, 2 weeks before that, or 2 days before that, I think it was, the last meeting, Tucker Carlson was in a group meeting with Trump and all the oil executives from the United States in a giant press briefing in the White House. Now, obviously, this was not like some commoner press pool type event because it was oil executives meeting to discuss the future of Venezuela. And Tucker Carlson somehow or another got his way into that room with Trump in a place that he really had no reason to be. So I don't really believe, and it was all in front of the media and the press. It's a statement, right? I don't believe this thing that Laura Loomer is saying. Clearly, Tucker's held in high enough steam by the president of the United States that he can make a personal phone call to the president and get a meeting at a moment's notice, which, by the way, I don't think is something that Laura Loomer has the capability of doing either. So she's literally freaking out on the timeline. Cenk Uygur said, Laura Loomer is outraged that someone who doesn't work for Israel was allowed to meet with the president. Now, Israel First is saying, if you don't want to force America into a war, you're a Jew hater. Hand over your wallet and your military, otherwise you're an anti-Semite. Basically where we're at now. She went on to say, so Tucker begs the president for a meeting, is told not to leak his meeting, is told not to talk about the meeting, and is told no photos with the president, and then proceeds to leak the meeting and the details of his private conversation with the president. Tucker clearly has no respect for the president, leaking conversations he was told not to leak. When is enough enough? Tucker is causing so much damage to the Trump admin. Doesn't anyone in the White House want to tell the president the truth? How is that damaging the president? If anything, it's making the president look better. You want to know, like, the real truth? If anything, this makes the president look really, really good. Because at a time when I think everyone understands that war is about to happen, and it's going to happen, there's no, there's no way it's not going to happen. This makes Trump, to the average person in America that does not support war in Iran, it makes Trump look like a pragmatic person that is still considering all the options. Someone who's willing to listen to his detractors. Someone like Tucker Carlson that doesn't support the war on Iran. This makes Trump look good if you are a mindless idiot that just, looks at the mainstream media and you're like, oh, yes, well, I believe everything I see. Obviously, if you have a IQ above room temperature, you can understand that maybe part of the reason why Trump is doing this is because he understands that Tucker is immensely popular. It doesn't matter how many Truth Social posts that Trump puts up of Mark Levin's clips. Mark Levin is still an insufferable piece of shit that everyone hates. But he understands Tucker is very popular. Trump tried to destroy Tucker. You guys remember this. He tried to destroy Tucker. He was doing like these off-the-cuff public statements trying to take these jabs left and right at Tucker. Didn't work. Tucker got more popular and more famous. And now he realizes he lost that fight. So he's trying to bring Tucker in and say, oh, yes, Tucker, I'm listening to you. Yes. Very important. It's equally plausible that Trump leaked this information, that there was a meeting. Equally plausible that Trump leaked this information to make himself look like a pragmatic person that's listening to all voices, right? But I think, as we all know, a valiant effort by Tucker, dangerous thing to do, very brave thing to do. But war is coming, and I don't think that there's anyone who can sway Trump right now, especially if there is any truth to the statements that he is acting under duress and he feels as though he's going to be killed if he does not start this war. I mean, imagine what Laura Loomer would say if Trump didn't launch a war on Iran. Before you leave, I want to say thank you for the support, because after 2 years of being banned, we are finally back home on YouTube. So be sure to subscribe to our channel and also join as a member on our channel using the link at the top of the description. I rely on the generous support of viewers like yourself to get the truth out to as many people as possible. You can also support the show on Locals or Give Sin Go. The mainstream media and the powers that be are never going to stop attacking us for bringing the truth to as many people as we do. Thank you so much for your support.